kind of static code testing, when we talk about static code testing, definitely it is going to follow this sort of rules. So let's discuss one by one what are those rules and what. So when we talk about application, so what is this particular functionality, right? So first of all, when we talk about this particular functionality, so how accurate your application works. So let's say you write one code, okay, and your application, let's say, perform some kind of batch jobs. And now how when you run batch jobs, so what is the accuracy, like how good your code is to perform those tasks? Does it fails 8 out of 10 times? Does it fails for some kind of use cases? Or how good it is, how accurate it is? Then when we talk about the functionality, again, how securely you have designed your code. So if are there any backdoors when we talk about the code quality or the functionality? So one example I can give you for this security might be, so let's say if some there is some requirement in your feature, okay, this, and you write some code, and due to that feature itself you receive the issue that the end user can. So let's say there is user 1 and user 2, and due to your feature only user 1 can now see the data of user 2 somehow. So that can be a security issue, right? That can be a issue wherein the other users are, like, two users are, those are independent users, are able to see each other's data. So that is not at all acceptable. So that is what functionally, when we talk about the functionality, we have to think upon this particular parameters. Then when we talk about this functionality compliance, so again, when we talk about any kind of compliance, so definitely there will be some sort of rules that defines, okay, how your application should be functioning, how what is a secure way to function your application, right? So again, this whole thing is more, you might think it is a more theoretical portion, but definitely when we'll deploy the instance, then we'll be able to see all those stuff inside that. So in there I will be covering how we are talking about reliability and all those things, right? So this is what a functionality means, right? Then the next parameter or the next column that we have is a reliability. So what is a reliability? In simple example, when we talk about reliability, so let's say we will take one example of Netflix. So Netflix uses three or four services, like it has some search engine, it has some video playback engine, right? It has some kind of different kind of things, right? Now when we talk about reliability or fault tolerance, so let's say somehow your search engine is not working. So if your search engine is not working, so in that way still your video playback should work. So those two are independent services, right? So even if your search engine is not working, your video should be playing, so that at least some part of your application is still running even there is a fault in other service, right? So in that way, fault tolerance means how your application responds to the faults. So there are different types of software. So I will give you one example, like Netflix uses Kubemonkey, because see, Netflix has deployed their environment on the Kubernetes, and they uses the software which is called as Kubemonkey. So in this particular software, what you can do is, so you can perform the fault tolerance. So it defines the reliability. So let's say, so that is how the Netflix is so successful in handling a business where multiple users, like thousands, crores of users are accessing the website. Still, the website is still accessible. So all those things, this quality, so all these things boil down to this little part which is called as a reliability or the fault tolerance. So you have to perform different types of fault tolerance test on your application, so that in case of real life scenario your application should not be failed. Now the next thing is in the reliability is called as recoverability. So what is a recoverability? Let's say somehow your application is failing for some sort of features, or some sort of user input, your application is failing. So, or let's say you have different types of server on which you have hosted your application. Now let's say some of those server goes down due to some data center outage, or the outage can be anything, like your VMs are not responding, or there is a network outage. The outage can be anything. Now how soon you can recover your application, how soon you can make it available? So when we talk about reliability, so that is again, recoverability is again very important aspect here. Because if your application is not recovering very soon, so you might have heard that there was a recent outage with the Google Cloud. So many applications that uses Google Cloud might face the issue, and if Google Cloud is not good in recovering, then definitely they are going to lose the business, right? So it all boils down to the business. It all boils down to the recoverability and reliability of your application. Then again, when we talk about compliance, so again there will be some different types of policies and rules that are defined, how compliant your application with the reliability. Okay, so the next column that we are discussing here is about the usability. Okay, so what is a usability? So usability is more focused on the end user. So how end user, how friendly your application is. So let's say you design some application, so this particular application, now you deploy that application, right? So you might have seen that when you go on the app store, or when you go on download some application, so there are same applications for different, I mean for same purpose there will be different applications. So based on the UI and user friendliness, you choose some application, right? So again, when we talk about the quality, so definitely the user is the main aspect here, right? So user should have a proper understanding of your application. So your UI or your user interface should not be a very difficult UI. Otherwise what will happen is, so your end user will not use your application, and he might go for the other application that is providing the same functionality, but it is having the good UI. So that is what is a particular understandability. So how the end user is understanding your application, how learnable your application is, so how easily one can get accustomed to your application features, how easy is to operate your application, so to move between one page to another page, to move between different pages, how easy it is to operate your application. So that is what is usability, a part of usability, right? Now the last thing is here is attractiveness. So when we talk about attractiveness, so what is attractiveness? So how attractive your UI is. So definitely there is going to be two columns, right? So definitely it is all about the end user perspective when we talk about the usability. And again there will be again some rules like how the application should look like for the end user and all those stuff. So any questions in functionality, reliability, usability? Any questions while whatever we have discussed so far?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. So then we talk about the efficiency. So when we talk about the efficiency, this particular efficiency means again, when there is, we call about efficiency, so it will be basically dependent upon the time, right? So how fast your application is. So let's say you have two applications. Now on one application to save some data, you require 1 second, and on another application the same data to save you require 5 seconds. And again to retrieve, on first application you require only 2 seconds. On the second application you require 10 seconds, just because the backend architecture that they have done is somewhat takes more paths, or somewhat takes more delay to reach the background and fetch that data, right? So definitely when we talk about efficiency, your application must be efficient, right? Your application must be performing well. In case of resources also, so resource utilization is, so you can think of like two browsers. Like when we talk about browser, there is a Chrome browser and Firefox browser. Those are two proprietary software, and one is open source, basically Firefox is. So when we talk about these two softwares, you might be aware that these two softwares, when they are running, they might consume different space, different RAM, different CPU, even if same pages are open. Like even if you are using 4 tabs on Chrome and 4 tabs on Firefox, still you might notice that Chrome is using more RAM. So why it is using more RAM? Because it is performing some more task in the backend, so it is the resource consumption is increased there, right? So we don't want such thing to happen. We want our application to have a proper resource utilization, such that it should not cause any kind of resource crunch. So when we talk about resource utilization, so again it is a part of efficiency. So your application must be efficient, right? So this whatever we are discussing is a part of this particular model only. Okay, so this is part of your ISO IEC 9126 model, and this is a particular column that any application should be discussed. So it is not just for some application it is valid, it is valid for all the applications. Okay, then again, when we talk about maintainability, so maintainability means nothing but how, so there are definitely there are different types of things here. So I will give you some example. So first of all, how stable your application is. So when we talk about, so you might have heard about, like let's take an example of operating system. So you might get the Ubuntu or Fedora latest version, and then there will be another long-term support version, that is a stable version. So what is the difference between stable version and the latest version? So basically the latest version focuses more on the features and the stable version focus more on the stability. So how stable your application is. So similar way, when we talk about maintainability, how stable your application is. So how it responds to some queries of user, how it responds to the user inputs and all those stuff, right? When we talk about changeability, so what is a changeability? So let's say how your code is written. So let's say you want to add some feature, or let's say there is a bug in your existing feature, and one developer is working on that particular feature and he has written some code. Now let's say next developer joins the team and he tries to change that code so that that bug is fixed. Okay, so to patch that bug he needs to uh, add up something in the code. So how easy it is to change your code, how easy it is to understand and change your code, change your functionality. So when we talk about, let's say, this particular word, right? So we have this particular options like file, view, insert, format, right? So now let's say there is a requirement that inside of this particular insert we require some more thing, like let's say documentation or something, so doc inside doc, something of that sort. So that feature is required. So how easy it is for you to change your application code such that it will acquire that particular feature, right? So it is again a part of your how good your application you have designed. Then analyzability. So how easy it is to analyze your particular application or the code in that matter, for that matter. So to understand that particular thing. Now the next thing is testability. So what is the testability? Is how easy to test your application. So does it requires how many tools and all those stuff, right? So that is all part of your maintainability. And again there will be some compliance based on that, like compliance is nothing but set of rules that your application should follow. And the last thing, or the last column in this particular thing, is called as portability. So what is a portability? As it says, portability means what? Portable means how portable your application for the different types of platforms. So when we talk about the adaptability, so let's say your Windows is upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11. So how your application is behaving in that way? Does it work? Is it OS dependent? First of all, is it browser dependent? Or how adaptable it is to the change of the environment? So let's say now you might have heard that Python 2 is no longer in support. So it is end of life cycle. So now everything is what we are running is so we are trying to move everything on the Python 3. Now let's say your application was written in the Python 2. So how adaptable your application code is so that it can be moved to the Python 3 language? How adaptable your code is to the next versions, right? Then we talk about instability. So instability means, let's say nowadays we have multiple clouds, like we have AWS, we have Azure, we have Google Cloud, then there are some on-premises cloud, then there is a hybrid cloud which comprises of on-premises and the cloud as well, right? So how good your application to deploy on those different tools or those different platforms, how it will respond to install that code on different types of operating systems. So there are like Mac OS, Windows OS, there is a Fedora. So how easy it is to your application to install on those things. So it is called as a portability. Then the next part here is a coexistence. So what is a coexistence is nothing but, so when we talk about coexistence means, so let's say on particular server, let's say there are two applications running. So can your application is capable enough to exist with another application without disturbing the another application? So that is what we called as a coexistence. Then replaceability. So when we talk about replaceability, so let's say you want to replace your version or your application with the newer version. So let's say there is a newer version, you have defined new UI and everything, and you want to make sure that your application, you want to replace your application with the new code. So how it is replaceable or not? So that is what so this particular ISO model is based on that. So any questions in this particular model?
Yes, Sahil, I have a question. So, one thing, you when you were telling the difference between the SAS and TES,
Yeah,
DAS, you were telling the SAS testing is basically a predefined. You need to predefine rules while you need to do that testing, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
there is like and like in DAS testing, you don't set any defined rules. What is the other difference you tell at that time? There was another one difference, right?
Yeah, let me open that
Yeah, yeah.
window.
Let me. Can you please go back to thing?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Let me just open that. I think Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, predefined, and language dependent, and it is like not like my next question is like, while you were telling the different quality like, things which is defined by ISO. So
Mhm.
my question is like, in Sonarqube there are one of the things while you are creating the quality gates, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So like those quality gates were also kind of a similar to these ones, the one you just explained before.
The quality gate, right? So quality
Yes.
gate, yeah. So it is kind of, so I'll explain you that in the upcoming section. But yeah, for to give you a context, so that quality gate is nothing but, let's say, I'll give you one example. So let's say quality gate is a kind of, so as it says, like it is a gate, right? So it is a gate which defines. So let's say you can define some rule. So you can say, if my code contains more than three bugs, so don't allow that code, so just stop that code from building. So my code should always have less than 3 bugs. So this is one rule, right? So you can define that in the quality gate. And again, another can be, let's say, so how many times there are duplicate lines. So let's say there are 100 duplicate lines in your code. So why we don't require duplicate code is because we want to reduce the cycles, CPU cycles, right? So we want as many as less as duplication. So you can define, I don't want 50 lines duplicated in my code. So if there are more than 50 lines duplicated in my code, just stop deploying it. Just say that code testing is failed, and then tell the developer, okay, your code is having more than 50 lines that are duplicated, so I don't want your code to be go ahead. Then again, there can be rules around security compliance tools. So I don't want
Ah,
any of,
so basically, you define these kind of
yeah,
security checks, while you are configuring the Sonarqube, right?
yeah, yeah. So
And
it is a
and those
part.
quality, yeah, and those
Yeah,
qualities gate you were telling before, basically those are the quality checks should developers take while they are developing their application, right?
exactly, exactly. So
Go ahead.
Sonarqube is a tool which will analyze the code as well, and you have the ability to stop your code to move ahead. So it is like a very rich tool. So we will see that in
Okay,
when we deploy it. So definitely we are going to see every small details of the dashboard and why we are
please continue.
requiring that.
Please continue. Please continue.
Okay, sure. So, so yeah, let's move to then what is a SonarQube tool. So again, SonarQube is a open source software. So yeah, it has got definitely when we talk about nowadays, when we talk about open source tool, so definitely they will have like multiple versions, right? I mean, so there is a paid support for that. So I'll just go ahead and I will tell you the official SonarQube documentation. So this particular SonarQube is again an open source tool. It has a rich documentation. So if you go here, this particular is called as SonarQube tool documentation, and again you have rich documentation for this tool. So this is what we are going to discuss now. So we'll see everything in details, like how to analyze the code, what are scanners, what type of languages are there. So all those things we are going to see. Uh, so now again, DevOps integration. So that means we will do some GitHub integration, so that we will see, because see, when we write CI/CD, definitely we will have to use some source code management. So we'll do some tools also. Then you have some user guide, so which has some concept like what is a architecture, what is the analyzer database. So these things we need to understand. Now in case of quality, so we will see what parameters those are defined when we see the dashboard. So I mean, I will discuss most of the things once we install that software. But for now, what is a SonarQube software? So it is again an open source tool. But yeah, when you go to download page, so definitely they provide a different sort of version. So see, so this is a community edition version, that is a free and open source. Then you have a developer edition which has some more features like direct decoration available for GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, and this GitLab. So this is the thing. Then you have enterprise edition, then you have data center. So there are different sort of editions, but yeah, definitely it is going to incur some cost. Like they're not free editions, these are not free editions, and this community edition is free because again this tool is open source. So this is about the versioning that is available right now. Again, it is, you can see something like available from Docker Hub also. So you go here on the Docker Hub, so this particular SonarQube is available as a Docker image. So directly you can just go ahead and pull the images and you can deploy that as a Docker. So we are going to see this as well. So we are going to install Docker, and I will show you how you can configure and run this particular SonarQube as a part of your Docker system. So definitely it is going to be a good learning based on the Docker as well and the deployment. So then this is a versions that we have. Then when we talk about, if you just now I had discussed about something like a long term support. So this long term support is nothing but a stable version. So 8.9.7 is a stable version. And if you talk about latest version, so latest version is 9.3. So this particular latest version will focus more on the features. And if you talk about the production environment, so definitely you are going to use the long term support version only. So only in the case where you require to use some features that are only available in this particular version, then only you will use this particular latest version. And that is again a risky factor, because definitely when we talk about latest version, there might be some bugs that are unknown. So it is always good to go with the long term support, because this version is being available since a long time in the market now, and definitely it is going to help you to perform several tests, right? So so this is about the versions that we have, like, and you can again go ahead and see the all the versions. So definitely you have lots of version available, and definitely there are some features changes that you can see here, and you can compare what features are required for your environment. So definitely there are lots of things like what things you require. So again you will see SAST here because it is a SAST tool. So again then there will be definitely different types of versions, and what, so it depends, right? So which version to select, it is your choice. Okay, so it is your choice to choose whatever version you want. So that is a basic difference between the editions, and so there are four types of edition it is providing, and different types of version. So that is a basic thing. Now what is this particular Sonarqube software is, so it is basically have this particular thing. So it is just like, so we will see all those things. I mean, see, it is telling you where the issue is, and it is telling if your quality gate is passed or not, right? So we are going to see that soon. And again, this supports around 29 programming language. So as I mentioned, static code is like, it depends upon predefined rules, right? So when I say predefined rules means what, we only have the rules, those are known issues or known bugs or known security hotspots or code smells or duplications. So all those things are, those are well known things. So it supports 29 languages. Okay, so if you go ahead and check, so these all languages are supported. So if you remember, I was telling SAST is dependent on the language, right? So Sonarqube is again SAST tool, so it is again dependent upon the language. It does not, it is not independent of language. So if
And
you are,
it's gonna cover like 29 languages, right?
yeah, it is going to cover all those 29 languages.
I
So
have
if you're,
another question, Sahil. Sahil, so
yes,
like you were saying like in a CI pipeline, which is like the
yeah,
SaaS part, continuous
exactly,
integration. So like
yeah,
when all the developers put their code into the SCM, I mean,
yeah,
like for example, if one application is developed by multiple developers, like one is using the Java functionality, one is using the front end, one is using the SQL, right? And
yeah,
everybody is like, throwing up their code to the one repository, which is SCM, source codes management. We usually
yeah,
use it Git or GitHub, right?
yeah, yeah,
These two are the very famous repositories, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
from there, and CI is a part of two things. One is like building up, and the another one is
mhm,
like testing thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
Testing is the one where the Sonar Cube has come into play, and
yeah,
and like for the building one, so like when you gonna throw that, like when the code is actually when the entire
mm,
repository going to the Jenkins, which is the pipeline, right?
mm,
So
mm,
I mean, like my question is like, what happened there? So like, you gonna like use the Jenkins and pull up the how you gonna bring the code into that Jenkins? I
yeah.
mean, like that is a part of the course. Like that's you gonna tell us, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, it is a part of the course. So when we talk about that, so basically what happens is, so this particular Jenkins, right? So this particular
Yeah.
Jenkins have a functionality. Okay, so this Jenkins have the functionality which is called as, so when you define a job, so what is a job? So job is nothing but, this particular job is nothing but what to run, like what to build and all those things you define in the job. Okay, and now this job has some kind of triggers, some kind of triggers are there. So that triggers you can put inside triggers something like, if there is a commit on your source code management, if there is a commit on your source code management tool, like let's say if someone is committing some code on your GitHub, so automatically your GitHub and your Jenkins is linked, so it is
Yes.
integrated together. Okay, so as soon as you do some commit here, automatically it will trigger this particular job.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Very good.
and
Okay.
as soon as this job is trigger, what happens? Jenkins then selects the node. So basically, Jenkins comprises of master and slave configuration. Okay, so there will be several nodes. Those are like slave node for Jenkins. Okay, so the job of those nodes are to run the to run some test and all those things. Okay, so what happens now? This Jenkins select one of those slaves to run this particular job. Okay, and what happens in this particular Jenkins, let's say it selects some server 1, this is server 1, this is server 2, this is server 3. So what will happen, this particular Jenkins software will select one server out of these three, those are the slaves. So it will just select one server. On this server, what happens, it first thing it does is git clone. Okay, it does git
Okay.
clone,
Okay. 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 Very good.
and it takes this particular repository URL. So it is
Yes.
passed in your job, right? So as a part of job definition, you pass on the GitHub URL. So what it does, it git clones that particular repository in this server. So now your server have your code, correct? Now the next part is quite simple. This particular server also needs to have the tools, that is like Maven tool to build Java code basically. So build tools needs to be installed there. And again, this will again have something called as Sonarqube scanner. So this scanner is a architecture part that we will see tomorrow. That this particular scanner is a part of your Sonarqube. What it will do, so it have now the code. So it have all the code here as a part of your directory inside server. So this scanner scan this code and pass this code to your Sonarqube server.
Very good.
Okay, and now your Sonarqube server have that code. So it will based on the rules that you have defined, it will perform the test on that particular it will run those tests against this particular code, and then it will generate some good dashboard, and it will tell you everything, like if there are some security hotspot, bugs, duplications in your code. And now as soon as you do that, so there will be quality gate defined. If the quality gate fails, then it will reach to the developer, or the it will move back to the this particular Jenkins, and it will say job is failed because the code is not good. Okay, if
Okay.
job is
Very good.
failed, okay, then only that particular user will understand, okay, I have to fix that issue. So again, this Jenkins will have direct integration with Sonarqube again. So there is a icon generated inside your Jenkins UI only. You can directly click on that icon and it will open up this window.
Very
Okay,
good.
now
Very good.
you can go on this particular dashboard and you can fix those issues. So again, Sonarqube again helps you also, like how to fix that issue, what is the correct way to fix that issue, so that also it tells.
And what about like these two other J's, like, the other slaves, like one of the slaves is doing, it cloning the Git and performing
Yeah.
the scanning, right? What about the other slaves, what they are doing?
Yeah, so basically you don't have only one job, right? So there will be multiple jobs. So there will be job 2, job 3, job 4. So those are divided among the workload is divided among those. So job 2 will be
Okay.
assigned to him, job
And
3 will
yeah,
be.
and if the Sonar cube after scanning that code, it give you the
Huh.
green signal and say, like, oh, you did a great job, and
Hmm.
this test is passed, then it will uh, go to the next stage, which is like continuous delivery. Is that the same?
Correct,
Is that the thing?
correct, correct. So this particular job consists of one pipeline. So there can be multiple types of job, but we are going to discuss the pipeline job in case of Jenkins. And that particular pipeline job will have the all the lines for CI and CD. So if only if the code is passed, then only CD is performed, otherwise your job is failed on the your CI part only.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Okay.
The job has to fail and it has to trigger the pull request and fail the job and it send it back to the uh, like intimate the developer, right? That's what we're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to fix.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Okay, so any questions in this particular thing? So basically, we have not covered anything today about SonarQube. So it was mostly around
CI.
why we are studying. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
tell me.
yeah, yeah. And like, and and one of the course outline, one of the agendas
Mm.
for this course is to secure your CICD
Application.
CI/CD pipeline in your application. Then at the same time, you need to also secure this Jenkins thing. This Jenkins also need to be secured. If something,
Uh,
if attacker can attack this part of.
no. So Jenkins is an internal tool. So that
Okay.
runs in the backend. So that is not accessible to external user. So that is not something that external user can even see. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
And that depends how you install and how you give the permissions to the who
user.
can use.
Yeah,
Yeah, user.
depends on what.
So that
Yeah.
only if you give open source to anyone, then anyone can enter. If you
Yeah,
give the
but even
control
so, I
and
mean,
everything.
Jenkins is a tool that only your team will be using. So it will not
Yes,
be
yeah,
exposed to the external
yeah.
world, right?
So it
So
is
so
in not going
yeah.
not gonna.
So like Venki and Rizwan, some of my questions going to be little childish,
No.
probably.
You
So I
asking
mean, like,
very
don't
nice
get, yeah,
questions.
don't get. I mean, like, and that don't get.
No.
And
This
like
session.
Sahil also. I mean, like,
Ye-
Sahil also. Like, I'm gonna ask you some childish questions, so just bear with us.
Yeah, no
Bear with me,
problem, no
okay?
problem.
No,
We are
we
here to,
don't mind. So
clear the
here,
doubts only.
I
here
think
is for
I think
just
Sahil
doubts
has
clarification
Sahil
and
has seen childish question enough his life not to mind, and
yeah.
I'm raising child, so I can bear few questions, no problem.
So as I know all this process what Shahil explained until now. But even though some you raised the questions and he explained a little bit, I got some extra information. That would be great if you ask more questions.
Yeah, definitely. Feel free to ask questions. See, that is why, I mean, I said like
Yeah, Venki is quite good as
that
well.
is why, right? So the agenda of this session is to, you should understand everything and every
You
bit
get
of this,
yeah. We should get
right?
clarified about what we need to do and how secure we're going to do the application. So that's what this is session. So nothing to worry is a childish question or small question, like the very intelligent question doesn't matter. So any question, feel free to ask and we can discuss and we can uh, that thing. And Shahil, which version we're going to install?
So we
This
are going to use
Sonarqube?
the LTS only, the stable version. So because see,
Oh, community
the
version.
yeah, community version only.
But as I discussed before with Mantosh, and I already told him, I found a lot of issues with community edition and
Yeah.
developer edition as well. So I think we agreed with the enterprise version.
Okay, so what I will do, the basic demo stuff I
Yeah,
will do on the right
there is a
LTS,
yeah. Okay.
uh, and then maybe the based on your scenario, I'll check with Mantosh if you can have that license for the enterprise version.
But there is a start free trial, right? So we can use it for every
Okay,
version.
then yeah, if that is the case, I mean, yeah, definitely we can go ahead and okay,
So
that is
I've
also
gone
fine. I
through
mean,
documentation, but there's showing like every version there is a start free trial version. Even if 1 week is fine, even 10 days is fine. We can fulfill our whatever the
Okay, boys,
agreement.
I have to go, and Venki, will you let me know what's happening with the classes going forward?
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Okay, and just clarify your doubts, and I'm sure Venkat will have 150,000 questions for Sahil and Imran before it goes
yeah,
back to back.
definitely. I'm
All right.
very welcoming the question. So I mean,
Okay.
if you have
All
any
right.
small doubt
Have a
also, feel free.
no problem. Have a good day and good weekend as well.
Yeah, sure,
Sure,
sure.
Rizwan.
Take
Take
care. Nice to see you
Okay,
all.
yes, yes.
care.
Yes, Shahil. So we are using enterprise version 9.2. It's not updated 9.3. So
Okay.
I found some bugs and there's some version is not working, some versions getting I found the issues where before can you click the in documentation 8.5? No, in the documentation you can just select 8.5. Yeah, just go to the analyze source code and
Yeah, it's
pull request analysis.
just a minute. 8.5 and then which one?
Analyze code.
Yeah.
The fourth one, yeah. Analyze code, yes, and pull request analysis.
Hmm.
Yeah, here is showing the decorating pull request, right?
Correct,
If you
correct.
go just 8.6 to 9.3, there is some of the documentation has been changed,
Okay.
and there's a different scenarios, and the pull
Hmm.
request, the plugin, the community branch plugin is not working. But however it is, we're going to fix it. How we going to, and even it is with the Jenkins or GitHub Actions, we can fix it. That's going to be a great session. So I'm
Okay.
expecting. So
Okay.
I already done all those things. It's not because because of
Hmm.
this community branch plugin.
Hmm.
Sorry, Imran. Maybe you're not gonna understand because I'm asking the advanced question. So maybe because I've already gone through this community branch plugin is almost damaging the the whatever the Jenkins pipeline, because it's throwing the Java error.
Okay.
Maybe in future when we install and we can see, and it's gonna
Hmm.
be okay. If we can fix it, that's gonna be fine. Or but it's
Okay.
showing some errors. So because all the jobs has been then if we uninstall, the jobs will running fine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
see, it is available since developer. So yeah,
I'm
I'll try
telling
to.
you, it's no need of waste of time. I'm telling you before that what we are
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to do, why is happening, everything. So
Okay. Okay. No problem.
yeah,
No problem. We'll
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
So we
Okay.
can
So yeah.
fix in either. I already found the different documentation also. We can fix this pull request analysis either in
Okay.
GitHub Actions, or we
Okay.
need to define in pipeline. That would be
Okay.
great. Either two choices is fine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Thanks for the session. So we can meet up tomorrow 5 o'clock. 2 hours or at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow? What is the time, Sahil?
Yeah. Actually,
Same
I'm
time.
not sure on the time. Let me just talk once with the Mantosh.
We are fine with this time. Maybe if
This time.
Imran also going is will be without any
No,
objection.
actually, no. I am actually, Venki. I am not in. I am actually in US. So like it's like. Uh,
We are in London, Imran. So
oh, you are in London. Oh my God. So
yeah,
like you. Oh, you have like you have like some more crazy time. It's like because 4 hour difference, right?
yes, yes, 4.5 hours. I wake up early morning like 4:30, 4 o'clock. My session start 4 o'clock. That's what tomorrow it's gonna be changed the 1 hour going forward. So 5 o'clock, because the daylight saving is going to be changed 1 hour.
Oh, we just had it like started last week. So
Yeah. Hmm.
so like yeah. So like Sahil, tell us the timing for tomorrow's class. I think I mean like Venki, how about like if we have this class Saturday tomorrow off? I mean like tomorrow afternoon, like Saturday. My time is like gonna be lunchtime. You are like 4 hours ahead of me, I believe.
Yes, yes, yeah. For
So you
me
will
it
be
would
available.
be
You will be around like you will be available like 5 6 p.m. of your times.
evening.
Yes,
Yeah, that's nice. 5 6 p.m. That would be great.
local time
Evening
in.
is fine. Saturday, Sunday, but weekdays morning is fine. So that's what I'm expecting, because we have to go to office, right?
Yeah, so like yeah, Monday, like Monday we can have like morning time, and then yes. So Sahil, let us know what is the next class, when is the next class, and we can go from that
Okay.
point.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, I'll have a word with Mantosh. Like most probably, it will be the same time tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it will. I'll again confirm that with the Mantosh, and he will be conveying you everything. I mean, before time only. So I mean, it
No,
will
but like
not be.
no, on Saturday, Sunday we are looking to have a class around India.
But
If you
but
about it,
but Imran, but in India, if it is for us evening 5 6 for me, and for you it's like a lunchtime. But in India, it's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
but
be
like India, I
midnight.
know, like, but India, that's what I'm saying. Like, in India, we have like, if we have like 2 p.m. class, then obviously it's gonna be like 10:30 night time.
Hello everyone, if you would like to access the remaining videos of this playlist of 50 plus more tools which are coming under DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, DataOps, GitOps, etc. Kindly become our channel members by clicking on the joining button. You would have access to hundreds of playlists and 1000s of videos lifetime access with this membership. Enjoy.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.